If you claim that your countries did a lot to help South Africa to free itself from bondage, or your countries contributed money to help South Africa, why are you still poor? This is the number one question coming from a lot of South Africans who continue to come to my page to display their ignorance. Today, I want to tell you why that is so. Why is it that South Africa seems to be developed in terms of infrastructure and other things than the rest of Africa, although they only gained true independence in 1994? Why is that so? I want to answer those gullible people with this video. Number one, I've told you in my previous videos, and so many other creators have told you, that the South African apartheid regime was an appendage of Europe. They were an appendage of the oppressors across Africa. They saw them as one of their own. When they came to Africa, they did not intend to leave. They intended to live here, to stay, because they had land that they had grabbed, stolen for free. The same thing they did in South America. The same thing they did in North America, the same thing they did in Australia, the same thing they did in Palestine. They did not intend to leave. And how did they become successful? Number one, they found gold, diamond, and platinum in South Africa in large quantities. And the world was seeking after these minerals during the apartheid era, and they used that to their advantage. How did they do that? Number two, they had better trade deals with Europe and America compared to the rest of Africa. The rest of Black Africa had exploitative trade terms, but the South African apartheid regime had favorable trade terms that allowed them to trade their minerals for cash, instead of the rest of Africa, where our minerals were taken by force. The British stole Ghanaian gold, Nigerian gold, other minerals from Africa. The French, they continue to loot the African countries to this day. What have you done to help them? They did not give us the opportunity for a fair trade deal. They robbed us, whereas in South Africa, they had favorable trade deals that was of mutual benefit to them. Number three, they invested heavily in the economy of South Africa in terms of infrastructure. They allowed them, for instance, to have refineries, to have manufacturing firms that made use of the minerals that they were looting from South Africa. Whereas in Black Africa, the colonies, the British, the French, and the other colonial masters did not even build proper schools to educate the people, to equip them with knowledge to have proper infrastructure in their countries. In Ghana, for instance, we were called the Gold Coast because we had huge gold deposits. The British stole our gold and took it to Britain. The other colonial masters stole the minerals and took it away free of charge. Whereas when it came to the apartheid regime, it was trade. They sold their gold, their diamond, their platinum for profit, and they got money that returned to South Africa that helped to build the South African industries. Now, one thing they did was that they also came to build factories. They built huge firms in South Africa that processed the farm produce, that processed the minerals and everything that they had. Whereas in the rest of Africa, even proper education they lacked. To this day, some of these colonial masters have put stumbling blocks in the way of African leaders and African countries, such that they cannot even have simple manufacturing firms. In fact, even second-hand goods cannot be banned by certain countries because of the oppression that is still continuing. And so your apartheid regime, they had it all. They had all the backing and the support from the West and America. And today, you came to inherit it, left to you alone. In fact, in consequent videos, I'll be showing how some of the blacks in South Africa behaved like crabs in a barrel, how you kept on killing each other. And I will expose you how you started using drugs during the apartheid regime, how the apartheid regime stood aside and allowed the drug menace to fester, that today you have the guts, the audacity to blame other Black African people for the proliferation of drugs in South Africa. And so, before you ask us that question, I keep telling you, the Bantu education system that you were given, the discriminatory education system that you were given, did not help you. And to this day, they have not given you proper education concerning your history and what they did to you and what they did to the rest of Africa. They have left you a nation of black people who are always partying without knowledge. We will force you to learn your history. We will tell you your history. We will not allow you to distort your history. And to distort our history will not allow you to lie to us. The West, they helped apartheid regime to build South Africa to where it got to before they handed over to you, and you are destroying your own country. Stop blaming other people for it.